Hey everybody, welcome back. We're gonna do a part two today of building this chat feature live in Bubble. Last week I had Dwight on. We were building a component, kind of a scroll component to a chat feature, which was new to me. I had never done it before. We found a plugin that basically was kind of what we needed. The plugin would you'd be able to trigger a workflow from the scroll position on the screen, which I thought was cool. I had never used that plugin before, and it seemed to solve the problem. Dwight is here. Dwight, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, man. We're live. Yeah, just I was just kind of rehashing the plugin that we were working with last week. Curious to see where you kind of landed with it. I'm not sure if that worked out the way that we thought about it, but you want to just like catch me up and let me know what you got to after we finished last week?
Yeah, for sure. I because I wanted to save some of for the chat, or for the stream, but I basically just put the plugin into position. Um, Essentially, I haven't set my criteria for when to tell the database red versus not red. So plugin is there, kind of the initial settings are there. Just need to complete the workflow so I make sure I'm touching the right data. So
Got you. I was also thinking at the end of the stream last time we kind of talked about how did we not really need to do that back end workflow that we
right,
did, but
yep,
I was thinking about that and tell me your thoughts on this. But if it's gonna mark the message red, that still means it has to do it for only that person,
yep.
right?
So yep, and that's what I was kind of understanding and said. So part of that back end workflow we still have to keep.
Yeah, because it has to create a read message for each person, and when they scroll, that's when it's going to get triggered to mark like red or not, right?
Yep,
That's the way you're
exactly.
thinking of it too. All right,
Yep,
cool.
exactly.
That came to me after the fact, and I was like, oh man, I think we were on the right track. But yeah,
Yep.
all right, cool. So yeah, I guess if you're ready, just share your screen, and we'll take a look on how to switch that
Okay.
over based on the scroll.
Let me grab my share and we can use the screen here. Oh, all right. So screen should be sharing. I guess on the initial, so the plugin is there. The other thing now, I'll have to go back to the documentation, which I think is right here. So that's the plugin there. This is their demo here. But so they had kind of two plugins: detect scroll on, or I guess detect on scroll, and then the position detector. Do we just need the position detector, or we needed to detect on scroll as well?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Does it explain the difference between the two?
Let's see. So there, what was it called? Scroll detect on scroll.
Text
So
scroll position for RG.
yep. And if I go to the plugin page, uh, and I'll drop this in the chat as well, just to make sure that that is there.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yep.
I could drop it in the public one, right?
Yeah. That's
All right,
just the plugin link there.
all right, cool. Yeah, because that's a handy plugin for people that need this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Being able to trigger an event based on a scroll position on a repeating group. Pretty cool.
So what it looks like here, you can tell it to scroll automatically scroll to a detected scrolling position. So maybe that's what that other one is for, to tell it specifically where on the page or where in a repeating group to scroll to. So then I believe we just need the original position detector, which I believe you started kicking off on your page as well. So we may not need secondary one here. There we
Okay.
go. So we may not need this one. So let me hide this and reveal. Let's get rid of that. All right. So then the focus is, I mean, and from the plugin on the front end side, it's pretty, simple. I mean, we just drop it on here, make sure it's visible on load. Everything else takes place on the workflow. The issue though that I'm having is, okay, so based on those read yes nos, I kind of got a little bit lost forgot what data point to change here. So I don't know if you want to go back and look at yours to see how you kind of manipulated whether it was red or not.
Yeah, let's check it out. Let me pull mine up. And let me share my screen.
Okay.
You can leave yours sharing.
Oh, okay.
Because I can kind of like toggle on and off between the different screen shares.
Okay. Yep.
So let me share my screen now. Let's do this one. All right, cool. So position detector. I was changing the repeating group messages, list of messages, first item. And I don't think that necessarily did what you're trying to do. But are you trying to make it so that like when the scroll, like when it gets to that specific message, then it changes just that message?
Correct. Right. So from a database aspect, we want it to just exactly similar to how you had it. And where was it? Read. What was it called? Read. Yes. No. Read receipts. Right. So as soon as the message comes, it's defaulted as no. And once that scroll position has hit in the repeating group, it's automatically changed to yes.
Okay. All right. So let's see how this works then. Let's play with it here first. At least we can get an understanding of what it's doing, not what it's supposed to do, but what it's actually doing. All right. So if I preview this, what messages do I have? I probably have to run it as somebody. All right, and this is not this is the conversation that I'm looking at. So I have to click into this.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the messages.
Yep.
Okay. So let me change. Maybe what I can do. Maybe I should just delete all these and start it again.
That works.
Yeah, because they're all marked as no. I think it'll be slower if I do that. All right. So, hey, how are you? All right. So these messages should be marked as unread for Salma. If I'm logging
Right.
into her, right? They're still marked red. They're marked no here. And now if I run this as the other person, Salma, and the view is combos. This is not the message yet. This is the conversation, so it should still be no. Good. And then if I click into it, they both got changed to yes.
Yep.
Okay. So all I have set up is repeating group messages, list of messages, first item, red equals no. I don't know how that's evaluating to it like that shouldn't be evaluating to a specific one. I don't know how it changed both exactly, but it did
Right.
it.
And yeah, so kind of looking at and so thinking about your logic, right? So you're pulling you're going to the repeating groups where it maintains the messages, right? So
Mhm.
repeating groups messages, list of
I'm,
messages.
I'm gonna bring your screen back, all right?
Okay. Yep. So you're pulling in repeating groups messages, list of messages, and then first item.
Right.
All right. And then get rid of that. First item. All right. Okay. So now do I need to go into the specific chat, or it's going to recognize it and I just need to go into this current repeating groups messages?
It should recognize which chat because it's only going to be displaying one chat at a time, depending on what they're scrolling
Okay.
in. But you're going to have to change the field here from the red field to no.
Right. So this would be read receipt red. Was this it? Called a red. All right. Let me make sure that's the correct field there.
Or red equals yes. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. And that was a yep. Okay. Yeah, I think that's yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So now do we need to perform this on the front end, or do we still need to make those back end kind of manipulations that we had?
Well, the backend, what the backend was doing was just creating the read record and defaulting it to no, not red.
Gotcha.
And then this front end action here. The event is based on the what the user is doing, right? So that's a front end action, but this trigger here is an update. So that's a back end thing. So
Okay.
it's kind of a combination of the two. It's triggered. The event is definitely from the front end, but the thing that it changes is a back end piece. And when I say back end, not a back end workflow, but just like it calls the database and changes this record
Yep.
uh, to update it.
Okay. So, and did you leave your position threshold on the default to 40%, or you changed it to something else?
I left it at 40,
Okay.
and I don't exactly know what that means.
Right.
I don't know what a position 40% is.
All right. So I'm going to log in on two cell phones and see what happens. All right. So we have one chat on an Android, another chat on an iPhone. Okay. Before I do that, let's just take a look at the database. So,
So they're all no, and we got these are all read receipts.
right. Okay. So, whose phone do I need to? So UAT9, UAT4. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Test read. All right. So that should have been sent. Let's do a refresh. Oh, let's go to messages. Okay. Test read. Um, Red, no. Okay.
So that didn't change it, right?
Right. So I right, correct. I haven't read it yet, but I'm thinking though that this might not be the correct place. Remember, because there are multiple folks within that group. So we should be changing rather than the message, because one should be created for each user, right?
Yes.
And so Let's see if this will show the message content. Do I have an option for the message content? No. Okay.
You can, if you look into the, I think you can change the search field for the, because you're connecting it to a message. Hit cancel here. Go back to your read receipt, and then the message there. You see that the magnifying glass.
Yep.
Change that to yeah. Go to the message one on the. It's the third row. Third row. Yep. And then use the message content field here, so that when we see that in the read receipt, we're seeing the actual content of the message. There we go.
Okay, got it. Yep. So it did create it for the two users of which we were sending a message to. All right. So now let me actually click into that message. Okay. Let me hit a refresh. And refresh again. No, so it did not update.
Didn't update based on the scroll position. Okay.
Yep. Now on page load, it scrolls to the most recent message. So it scrolls down, 10 or 15 messages. And it gets to the most recent one. And yep, no data change there.
Can you check if any of the other messages were changed?
Yeah, nothing. Do a refresh again.
Yeah, it doesn't look like any of the read YNs are changed here. They're all no, right?
Correct.
All right, so let's go back. Let's check that workflow.
I guess also the question is it a mobile? It shouldn't be mobile. It shouldn't be web limited, because mobile. Because were you clicking into the message, or you were scrolling down to view the line item message?
I was
like from your PC.
I clicked in and I scrolled, but there's an easy way to test for what you're saying. You can just run this on the desktop and see if it does anything different.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Find my users. Yeah, and this might not, because I need to be logged in. So hold on. As soon as I pull up that page, it's automatically on the log out. So I need to go to the login page.
Well, you can run it as one of the users
right,
that was in
but so there's logic in there that if it's opened up to a page that does not that a user is not logged in, it will automatically reroute them back to the login page.
Right, but have you ever used that run as there? That logs them in.
Right. So I get that. So let me show you an example here. So so now we're on the page, and if I find that user UAT user 10 run as, so it may stay here for a moment, and then yeah, that's not even pulling in the info. Okay, here, let me just hit this original route here, and data. All right, there we go.
Okay, so test read, and we're logged in as who? Is it UA10 or UA4?
Yep, UA10.
UA10. Okay,
yep.
So test read and UA10. Okay, let's check that out. Let's see if that changed anything.
Nope.
No, still no. Okay, all right. So let's check the workflow. So at least we know that that's not like specific to mobile. It's something, something in the workflow that's not. Are you sure that you've connected you put that HTML tag into the repeating group?
Yep. So chat repeating group is a group ID.
Gotcha.
And this is a repeating group message, which also has at the bottom. Scroll down.
Chat.
Yep, right there.
It says RP. Is that RPG?
Yep, RPG.
Gotcha.
Repeating group. And if I go back to here, chat RPG.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So that's definitely that should be connected. That's fine. All right, so let's play around with the
Or do we want to mess with the threshold?
yeah, we could try that.
So it's at 40 right now.
Do it. I think it's easier to just is it easier to do it in the browser or on the phone? What do you think?
We could test here on the browser.
Okay.
Since it's up now. But let's see. Let's set that to 20. I don't know. Okay. Now let's check. Okay. Still set as no.
Okay, so the percentage didn't have any change. The percent and the documentation says the threshold percentage is the percentage of scroll to trigger the event. Current position is percentage is more than the threshold. I still don't really get what that means. Don't understand that. Okay, all right. But clearly it's not because of that. It's because of something. It's probably it's not. It doesn't seem to be picking up any messages in the repeating group. Let's go to
So it's got to be something in this, right? Thing to change.
It's gotta be. Let's make changes to a list of things. Let's see if we can change everything.
Okay.
Actually, that might be too much. I don't know. Repeating group messages. Repeating group messages. List of message. First item. Why would that not work? Repeating group message. List of messages. First item. It's exactly how I have it set up. And you would think that it would change something, right? Like to me, that should change something,
Yeah.
even if it's not the one that we want. It should change one of them, though.
I'm thinking maybe do we go up a level to the actual group chat and then drill down into the messages?
Sure, you could try that.
All right. So I wonder, are these the same parent groups chat, group chat?
Probably the parent group chat will be the one where you can access the messages.
Okay. Parent groups chat messages. First item. Message content.
I don't think you need to add anything else. I think that'll do it.
First
Parent
item.
group messages, first item. Parent
Yep.
group chats, first item.
Parent groups chat, the messages,
Yeah,
and then the first item.
the first item. So whatever the first message is in that parent group's chat, it's changing it to yes. Give that a go. I mean, it accepts it, so it's
Yeah. Just want to see what the other fields are here to make sure we putting in. Okay. Message content. And just from a data message, red, yes, no. Okay. All right. Let's see. And for just triple checking, I'll send a new message. Refresh the page on that one. And then new message. Okay, so the new message is there. Read receipts.
We're also looking at it would be the most recently created would actually be the last message. So let's actually change it to the last message.
Okay. Makes sense. Last item.
The last item, yeah.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll scroll up just to make sure we're not automatically coming to that last message. Refresh on this page. Let's get a new one. All right. Last item. All right. So now just checking the DB. Last item is there. That's the message. Re-receipt is no. Now I'm going to scroll down. Last item message. Now it has been viewed.
Got it.
Doing a refresh. Still a nil. So now let's think about this. If we were changing the chat, maybe we go back to the actual repeating group message, list of messages, and we
Last
grab
item.
the last item.
Yeah, let's give that a shot.
And let me do a refresh. Send. And I'll scroll up a bit here so we're not on the actual message. And then I will say, okay. All right. So that message has been created.
Okay, and we scroll. And we're checking to see if this changes to yes. Update last item. Okay.
Still no.
Doesn't.
Uh,
Oh, wait a minute. We're looking at the messages, but we're changing. We're the workflow is configured to look at the messages, but we're changing a read receipt.
right.
We're changing the wrong thing.
Right. Yep, that's true.
First items read receipt. Does it let you, or last items read receipt? Does it? No, it does. That would mean that we need a. You could also
Wait, so let me see. So read receipts, we're connecting the read receipts to the messages via the group chat.
Mm-hmm.
So if the read receipts are connected through group chat, so let's see here. Workflow.
It's also connected to the messages. You've got a message field in there too.
Right. Okay. So how do we access? The question is, how do we access that read receipt
Right.
item?
Right.
Let me so let me see if I can grab. Do I need to do a search for?
I want to avoid that, but
Right. Yeah. That's
I feel like we're gonna have to do that. In the way that we set this up, we're gonna have to do it that way. It doesn't mean you can't change it, but yeah, I feel like you have to search. Yeah, that's gonna be the easiest way to do it in this situation. Not the most ideal, but it is the easiest for this purpose. So if we're doing a search, how are we gonna let's figure out
Well, if we are doing it, then because it could end up being thousands of doing a search for is going at any moment, we probably want to do it all on the back end. Schedule it from the front end and then run it on the back end.
Well, you'd only be making a change to one record. It's only a change to one record. So I don't think there wouldn't be any performance delay to the user because they're not seeing any kind of loading screen or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's not like they're transitioning between pages. This is just something that's going to happen triggered by a scroll. They're not like waiting for anything to complete. So
Okay.
actually, I don't know. Maybe a search could work here.
All right.
I'm curious about the constraints that we're going to need to use in order to find the read receipt.
So what we got to do is group message chat equals parent groups chat. I'm assuming,
Uh-huh.
right? And we
And then,
grab the first item,
yeah.
right? And then think to change receipts.
And I think the
First item.
user is going to have to be the current user also, because
Right,
that
right.
constraint is just going to pull up the entire group. We only want that one person.
Okay, so then we need to add what, a more statement?
No, add another constraint to the search.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. Let me just take a look here.
I think
So
group user might have been the
yeah,
one.
group
Yeah,
user. Mm-hmm. Yep.
group user is equal to current user. So that should only produce one result, one read receipt. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's give that a shot.
Now, theoretically, us walking through it, it's got to make sense, to the computer. So hopefully that does it. But
We're gonna find out.
anything can happen here. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got to work.
I've said that to myself many times and been wrong. Like, why doesn't this work?
All right, so pulling in read receipt. Okay, it's the new message. Oh shit, I didn't scroll up. All right, we'll add one more test new. Scroll up.
Scroll up a little.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Refresh, and then okay, test new. Scrolling down.
Okay, test new, and it should only be for UAT 10, not 4.
Right, correct. God.
Ah,
How's that? Okay, wait. Shit, let's see. Read yes, no. Now equals yes. Right.
yeah. We're searching
So
for the
do a
read
search
receipt.
for read receipt. Group message chat. Let's go back to the data. Group message chat. Oh, okay. I see. Well, let me see here. Parent groups chat. All right, so let's take a look at the parent groups chat. Search for chats. So that just basically pulls in both group IDs. That's what creates the chat. Hence why we have two unique IDs right here. Um, okay. Group contains. Let me just take a snap image of this, and pull it up again. All right. Well, whatever. Yeah, I think about right there. Okay.
So the two constraints that we put on is that we're finding the read receipt for the first item where the group message chat is equal to the parent group's chat and the group user is equal to the current user. Would that produce a one read receipt? Yeah, it would have to. It would have to change something. It would have to change something here. Nothing got changed? Nothing got changed in the database at all?
Nothing besides the message being created, basically a new line item read receipt with both of the messages, but it did not alter the yes no factor.
Okay.
Read receipt equals this read receipt. No, that's just a loop thing to change. All right, so this is the actual parent groups chat. Group message chat equals this message, list of messages. Each item's message chat. No, hey, it's not it.
No, that seems right. I mean, that part of it seems right. Maybe we should also be the group. We have the group message chat. Maybe we should also be constraining on the message that they're seeing. No, because there's no way to know which message they're actually looking at. Group message chat.
All right, so let's do this. Let's test to see if let's test to see group. Okay, so group message chat, parent groups chat. I think what was it? Messages, right?
I think the thing to test would be to get rid of both constraints.
That's his first item. Oh shit. Hold on, let's go back. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, wait a minute. We have first item again. Did we change that to last item in the last one? Didn't we change that to last item?
On this here, search for read receipts.
We had that at last item the last time we tested this, right?
Nope, we had first item.
All right, let's do last item because the most recent one should be the last item.
Okay.
Let's try that one more time just in case we missed that.
And equals current user. Okay. All right.
And then if this doesn't work, what we should do is get rid of both constraints and see if it changes anything.
And yeah, I was going to say too, we could use that same search and maybe post the result to the page to see if it's actually picking up the.
That's a smart idea. Yeah, we should do that too.
All right, so picking last item. All right, let me scroll up some. All right. Picking last item. Set to no. Okay, we have both users in there.
Okay.
And scrolling down now. Picking last item. Okay. Still no. Okay.
All right.
All right. So let's see. So let's see if we can use this exact same thing to change expression and maybe post something on the front. I don't know. I grab a text field or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You want to pull up the result of the read receipt search that we're doing?
Yeah, right. Maybe let's see if we can maybe get it to grab. I don't know. Yeah, maybe the user ID or something, or this group chat the ID. I don't know, or maybe to see if it can grab the.
Is there an easier field that we can look at so we're not looking at a unique ID? Can we look at is there another field that you can use to identify that? Which chat we're looking at?
Yep, this is what we have currently: group user message, modified date, etc. I mean, we can create a dummy field really quick.
No, don't create anything special. I was just curious because it's hard to look at the unique ID and match it up. I mean, it's doable. It's just annoying.
Well,
all right.
Here, what I'll do is just do a quick copy. So that's the chat, and then I'll copy that. All right, so that way we at least have a record of that. All right, so now we got to think about what we want to post. Okay, so do a search for.
Maybe let's start simple here with your idea. Let's just see that we're getting the correct group chat to show up here. So you could say what's the name of the group where the group chat is being stored? click into where the parent group of the repeating group of the messages. Repeating group message.
And then you have group chat.
There we go. Okay, so group chats, I guess chat, right? Groups, chats, chat. Can we look that up and just see like, all right, it is actually, because this will tell us if our constraint is, like if it's picking anything up. So clear this expression, clear this search, and then just say group chats, chat. And then, whatever I guess the unique ID, because you took a screenshot of that. So maybe that'll be the best one to use. All right. So let's just see. Let's start there. We'll just do it one by one and just kind of debug what isn't this picking up. All right. So the 5,000, right?
Oh, because it created a new one. So let's go back to the DB, refresh. Oh, wait, did it create a new one?
No, it should be looking up to the same group message.
So this is the read receipts.
Right, but the unique ID that you took a screenshot of, that was a chat.
So nope. So the unique ID I took a screenshot of was the read receipt. So I'm assuming maybe this is the. Yeah. Okay. So that's correct. What's posted here?
So that
right. So this is the correct chat. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to make sure.
Yep. So then it would need to drill down. Correct. Yep. So it's the correct chat there.
We got the right chat. Now let's just add some text to that text element. I think it's safe to say that we got the current user. But you know what? Let's just do that too. Let's not assume anything. You don't even have to delete this, but add the current user's email or whatever under that. Let's just make sure that we got the current user that's being logged in. Stupid mistakes like this sometimes will take hours, just because I didn't check.
Yep. So UAT user 10.
Okay, perfect. All right. So now below that one, let's do the do search for and use those two constraints and see if we get the correct read receipt that we're looking for. Do a search for.
So in the same text box or create a new one?
You can do it in the same one.
Okay.
Give it like a enter, so it just goes down a little bit.
All right. So do a search for chat.
Read receipt. And then set up the same constraints that you did on the other two in the workflow. So the not for chat, we're searching for a read receipt, and then you're constraining it based on the chat.
Gotcha. So groups message chat.
Yes.
So, groups message chat
is equal to group chat. Group chats chat. Yeah, yep. Exactly. So that's one constraint. And now let's see before you even add the other one.
Okay.
Delete that and then add to the end of that first items something. It's going to have to evaluate to a text field. I guess the easiest thing would be the message. I'm not sure which field you want to use there. Right, so it has to evaluate to a text field. So you'll be saying like search for the read receipt and then give me the first item and then give me the message of that first item, or maybe even I don't know if there's a better field.
Yeah, I think we get an error here. So wait, so first items. Oh, there we go. Got a message. Yeah.
Message, and then that's evaluating to a message. So you'll have to call it like message content. That should evaluate to text.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
First items message. All right. So let's see what that search result produces. Change sign.
Where is that?
All right. So that's probably the first message in this list. Scroll all the way up. change sign? No, nothing.
Nope.
Ooh, okay. This is a good clue. So there's
So you want to
change.
you want to tell it last item just to maybe.
Well, I want to know where that change sign is. That's what I'm
Yeah.
concerned with, because that'll tell us a lot. Where is that change sign message?
All right, so let's go to messages. What I said, change. Okay, there we go. So right here. So okay, so that was that's in the same chat. Yep. So that's in the same chat. So that was the first. Okay, so that was the very first message then. That's when we deleted everything on the first and started a whole new chain of messages. For some reason, it's not displaying here, but maybe we're at some threshold or some limit. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So maybe, yeah,
But then
maybe try
why?
change.
I'm not sure why. Oh, look, here
There
it
it
goes right
is.
here. Change sign.
Okay. So
So
now,
why would that not be the very first item, right?
can we check Yeah, I don't know why. That's I think more of the problem here. But can we check if that, just by doing what you just did that change the read receipt for the
Oh,
change sign message? This is so confusing to say.
yep.
You're jumping from table to table.
Also, quite possibly, change sign message might not have been created when we added the logic.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yep. So we may have to rule that out. All right, so let's do this. Let's change that to the last item just
Okay.
to see what happens. Yeah. Picking last item. There it goes.
Okay, so that's correct.
Yep.
Okay,
And then
good.
now read receipts.
Is read receipt? Well, we didn't change the workflow yet. You're gonna have to get rid of that change sign in the search box there.
Okay, but we also didn't change it in the workflow,
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
So that's why it's not reflecting there. But I think so. I think what we were solving for was to make sure we were able to access the.
Exactly, and that gave us the result that we expected, which means that this search copied and pasted. You should be able to copy and paste that that second part there and paste it right into the workflow.
Okay, so let's clear this out. Wait, let me go back because we don't need all of this. We just need.
If you right click on where it says search, it should only pull that portion of the text, because it
All
treats it like two separate expressions.
Okay, so let's see. Paste. Search for receipts, last item, message content.
Yeah, that's okay. We're just gonna say the search for read receipts. Let delete up to where it says last item. Okay, perfect. And then the search constraints, those make it over too? Just want to double check.
We also have to add that user, right?
Yeah, don't do it yet though. Let's
Okay.
just do this and see if that works, and then we can add the current user, because this should change. Well, this actually will only change the first or the very last one, so it probably will only do one. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what happens. Then
Okay.
we'll add the constraint for the current user. See if that works.
All right. Let me get us a new message in there. Let me scroll up some. So currently it's saying picking that last item. And so the new message will be called fresh test.
Fresh test.
Yep. Okay. That didn't refresh. Oh, there it goes now.
Okay,
Okay,
so
fresh test. Let's just check this.
we should have a no in there for fresh tests. Two
Yep,
of them,
right here.
perfect.
All right, there goes the message.
Why not? Why not? Why? How is that possible?
What are we missing?
We're literally getting it on the front end, and it's producing the result that we would expect. Wait, did we get the? We're searching for the read receipt, constraining it by the group message chat. But we're not saying, yeah, the last item. That's what we're saying. That last item. Search for read receipts, constrain it by the group message chat. Read receipts, last items, messages. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing as in the what we're doing on the front.
Yeah. Group message chat equals groups chat.
Oh boy.
Messages.
I was gonna poll the chat, but it just says hot girls here, so that's not gonna help us.
So group message chat.
What are we missing? We're missing something. What are we missing?
Search for read receipts. All right, hold on. Let me just think this through a bit. So we're searching all of the read receipts. We're looking for group message chat. So we're looking for this column.
Mm-hmm.
And within this column, we are looking for where it equals this current group's chat.
Right.
All right. So that's maybe a problem, right? Because, well, I don't know if that's a problem, but when you think about it, all of these are those group message chats. So now it's found all of these, right? So,
but the
is
last
that
item, you got last item in there, so it should only be the last item in that list.
let's see. Okay. Yeah. Groups chat. Last item.
So it is isolating one. It is isolating one read receipt. It should just be the most recent one. Read yn. That's definitely the field we're using, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Read YN. All right. So now this is the next question. Should the should the HTML ID be on the actual repeating group message, or should it be on the chat for the position detector?
Should be on the repeating group because it's a scrolling thing.
Right. Yep.
So it should be on the repeating group. I guess we could double check that, but I feel like we looked at that already. Wait a minute, is there another like weird little element in there? Is there another one of those elements?
No, it's just one. You have the position detector, and then you have the detect on scroll. But the detect on scroll is not needed in this circumstance.
Can we get rid of the one that we don't need? Because I only have one on mine here.
Right. And you don't, right. So you don't have this one here.
Yeah, I've only got the one that's like a circle position detector, right? That's what you got?
Yep, exactly. So I got rid of the other one. Okay, so everything else that's just text, this image, this is the actual message. Okay, this is the text cell. This is the repeating group. According to the instructions and basically what you did as well, here goes the ID attribute.
ID attribute, and I also have it. Let me just double check that I have it on the repeating group messages, RG messages, yes, and I have that I have that. It's in a separate group on mine. I don't know if that makes any difference, but it's in a separate group.
Wait, what's in the separate group?
The our position detector A is in a separate group from the repeating group that it's referring to.
Okay.
I have no idea if that matters, but just
Okay.
pointing out the way that I have it set up.
It might make sense.
Let's test that. Let's test that when you after you remove that page, because there were two elements referring to that same tag. That could have been the problem.
Yep. And if I go to their demo here, let's see. Maybe like it's in a repeating group, yeah. But all right, let's test it anyways.
So we got to know, is this fresh text? Another fresh test or?
Yep, let me send one more new one. All right, so that is sent. All right, refresh. Okay, there goes a new
one.
Oh, shoot. Well, I was already down here, but and I'll do one more. Let me make sure I'm further up. All right, so that's come through now. One more, no. Now we're in it. I'm even going to click it just to see if that does anything. Nope. All right, so let's think about this, right? Make sure we are accessing the correct field in the database or this correct item to where we can modify it. How else can we make sure we are grabbing this?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like just do like a button, right? Like test, like
yeah.
Make like a button where we use the same search query and then try to change, like force the yes to no and see if that does it. And then that'll tell us at least if it's our logic or if it's something with the plugin that we're probably just missing. Yeah, that's a smart test.
Okay. And is there anything else we should add to this just to make it easier to pull or to change the data on? So what was that? Read receipts? I don't know. I'll just call it a test field test.
I would honestly just keep. I don't know if I'd add anything to this. I would use the same field that we're trying to change.
Okay. So the read no.
Yeah, and maybe just even use that same text field, like make a clickable event out of that text button, I'm sorry, not text button, the text. Yeah, like start and edit workflow, and then literally just copy the change. I'm sorry, the event. Click on the event where possession detector A. Just copy that over. This will tell us whether it's the event or the action. And then just paste that. Literally, it's the exact same thing. Now, see if clicking this changes that.
And clicking it now.
Yeah.
Okay, saw it run at the top. Oh,
I did. All right, so that's good. So that's good.
Yeah.
That means it's not us. It's not our
Yeah.
logic. It's not our
Yep.
logic. It's something with that goddamn plugin. It's got to be something along the lines of that. That scroll percentage is high or too low or some shit like that.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. That's got to be so threshold. First, I'll go down to 10. Just
Okay.
really small. I guess we need a new message really quick. Let me also refresh that. Then I'll scroll further up. Threshold. Test 1. All right, so that message has been sent. Threshold test 1 is located down there. Looking at the database, it's visible there. All right, let's do a scroll down. Verify has that changed or no. Okay,
No.
so now let's click it. And now let's do a refresh. And it's yes.
It's yes. So that means that the event was not triggered with that. So
Right.
let's maybe go up, maybe go the other way. Let's go to 90 or 100 or whatever.
All right. Let's just run one. You think that's just on page load? It only has one time to run. Trying to think of anything else on here.
I think we want that to run every time.
As many times, right?
Yeah, I don't think we want to limit that to just once because there may be more than one message that gets scrolled through.
Okay. And let me just check. See, is there anything on here? So he has this at 50 x nothing. It's visible on page load. Yep, visible. Make sure there's no conditions. Nope. And he only has there's a custom state. So this is that workflow, set state, repeating group. Okay, so that has nothing to do with that. All right. Let's see. Let me create a new message here. Scroll up. And we'll call this TT test 2. All right, so that's sent. TT test 2 reflects. Oh shit, did I click it and that activated that?
Still no.
All right, so let me scroll down. All right, let's take a look. I'm even going to refresh the page and see if it needs a refresh. All right, now let's refresh the database. Still no, and it will show yes. So yeah, something about the scroll, and they're not that descriptive in any of their texts.
Yeah. There's definitely is it possible that there's any other elements on the page that have that same tag?
No, I created it when I created this one. That's why I named it the repeating group, chat repeating group.
Okay.
What I will do is let's just rename it. See if I don't know. There's a kink in the system. So I'll go here. Let me make sure I'm on the right one. Yep, repeating group and not the actual chat. And we will just call this. There's no spaces before or after. I'll add a 1 there. Okay, copying that where there's no typos. Fully cleared. Paste. All right, so that's there. Now maybe let me move it back into that repeating group, since that is where there seems to be. It's within a repeating group. Yep, it's in a repeating group.
It's not really in the repeating group in your setup, I don't think.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Let's see.
It's in the
It's just on. Well, no, yeah, it's so just like his is just on the. Yeah, on the parent. I'm sorry, on the repeating group rather than the cell. Mine is on the repeating group.
Yeah, I actually think it's the
Okay.
same. It's the same. You have it set up the same way.
Yeah. So this is the repeating group, and the line is still here. So
So if you collapse the repeating group, does the
yep, that
position
goes.
disappear?
Oh no.
Yeah, so it's not inside. It's inside group chat, not in the repeating group.
Right.
But that's okay. Like that's I think that's the way that they have it set up too.
Well, let's take a look here.
Because I don't think position detector A is actually in a repeating group.
Well,
It's
it's in
in
Group
group
B,
B.
which is their group. They just don't have a group within a group. So what I'll try to do is two things. One, since now I moved it back into, I got it out of maybe its original group, I'll do a refresh on that. And if that doesn't work, then I'll put it in the actual repeating group message.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
then just first, and then so let me refresh on the phone. Scroll this up. And RPG HTML. All right, so that's coming through right there. Database check. All right, so that's there. That's a no. That's a no. And I'm going to scroll down. Okay, just to make sure that's it. Okay, so that did not change it.
No.
I just clicked on that, so that probably will change it now. Yes. Okay, so now let's see if we need to put it in the actual cell, which won't make sense, right? Because I just replicated, right? Let's bring this back down to, I don't know, bring it down to 50.
Yeah, we've been messing with that too, right?
Yep. And let's do another refresh. Let me see the new message. Scroll up. Oh, I gotta refresh the app. All right, so that's been sent. Oh, damn. Well, I actually clicked it. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, that's on no currently. All right, so now that's there. And that's no. Still.
All right, so let's zoom out for a second because we're deep in this. There's a few different. I think there's like the question for me is like, do we keep trying to make this plugin work? It could be any number of things,
Mm-hmm.
small things related to this plugin that you're just going to need to test through. You don't really need my help for this, because
Right.
your guess is as good as mine at this point. You know how that plugin works just as much as I do. I think what I would be asking myself though at this point is, do I care this much about this functionality? Right? Does it have to be this granular where they're scrolling and that's going to change the message from red to no? Right? In my mind, I'd probably be okay with just saying if they've clicked into the message or even marked it, like, nah, not marked it, right? That doesn't make sense. But like clicked into the conversation and then that marks all of the unread messages marked. To me, that's good enough. I wouldn't care that they've scrolled and actually, because even if they've scrolled, that doesn't mean they've read it. That just means that they scrolled past it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Mhm.
you can go down the rabbit hole of figuring out what's going on with this plugin, or you
Yeah.
can just say like, does it pay to be this granular? I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So I guess two things. One, for the workaround, setting up the feature to where, hey, if we know they've clicked in this message, they viewed it, then that turns it all to yes read. So we can do that in the interim, and then I will reach out to Zero Code on the back end, and later on, and just see if they have thought of anything else that we're missing.
Yeah.
Let me also make sure that the plugin is updated, right? Yep, it's on 1.9. So yeah. All right. So we'll say I don't know. Okay. All right. So now just clicking into the message. And I guess that can just be done for that user on page load. Or when they do click into, just think about it here. And that's the workflow for that. Make changes to receipt. All right. I mean, for the most part, that I should be able to figure that out. Just changing the item.
Yeah, clicking on if you want to make it so that they click on it, they mark it as red.
Right. Well, this is the question though, because so it's got to pull what first item or last item, or do we just say items until? How do we make sure it grabs everything rather than the first or the last for that user?
Grabs everything for that user. You mean?
Yep. Yep.
Let's. It would be a different. It would be a different. It would be make changes to a list. So go to click here to add another action, and then make changes to a list of things. And then you can use that. You can copy over that same search expression, except you're gonna. Yeah, once you paste it, you can get rid of the. No, you got it. You got it. Go to sort. You're searching for read receipts, and then you can paste the expression, and just back out where it says first item because it's gonna need to evaluate to a list, right? So this will be all of those group chats. Once you click this, it'll change all of those read receipts to, well, yes, yeah. When we add the search field, hit change another field. All right, so this is evaluating to a list instead of a single read receipt.
Okay, gotcha. Changing a list. Okay. All right. Just marking action here. Okay. Oh, all right. Might as well just test really quick. So as soon as I click this, theoretically, all of that stuff should change.
All the messages in that chat should change.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. It's crazy, man. We go through all those steps, beating ourselves up, and this what we're doing is correct.
It happens. I know, and that's I guess the trouble of the working with a plugin like that because you never really know where the problem is, right? It wasn't our logic, right? The logic was right. So I think that now it's just like how do you trigger that, right? Like to me, it's good enough if they just click into the conversation or they click into that group chat. That to me says like, all right, all of these have been read. You know what I mean? Like I'd be okay with that, but yeah, it's easy to get down that rabbit hole when you're like trying to get something to work right. It's hard to get out of that.
Yep. That's similar to like that push notification issue I was having. Still haven't had time to kind of debug that and figure that out, but you know, theoretically everything I'm doing is right. I'm just copying and pasting it over from single user to push notification, updating it to pull a list of users, and having an issue with that. So, but yeah.
The debugging thing here. Let me show you something kind of cool.
All right, let's do it.
That kind of unrelated to debugging and everything, but I just started using this Microsoft Clarity. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of Clarity, but I've never used it. Does that pull your analytics or something?
Yeah, man, check this out. So all this does, right? All you got to do is basically install the plugin, the Microsoft Clarity plugin,
All right, let me
and
look
you
for
you
that.
you create a project in Clarity,
Mhm.
and then look at this insight. You've got I just did this stuff today. Rage clicks. 50% of the sessions have rage clicks. Like I was just like, I didn't know what a rage click was before I started looking at this, but it's like when somebody just keeps clicking on something.
Click
And
it.
yeah,
It's
and
good. It's a cool name for it, right?
it's a
Rage
cool
click.
name. Yeah. So like I was doing that just to see if something would show up here, and then like it showed up pretty quick, and then you can actually get a recording of like what the like when this happened, so you could
Mhm.
like see, look, this is me earlier, like this is me doing
Jeez,
this,
it
so
really
you could
broke it
see,
down.
right, like you could see exactly how people are behaving in your app. That's fucking sick. Did you see that? Wait, hold on, let me go back. It's
Oh,
crazy.
crap.
Look at that. That was me rage clicking right there. That's exactly what I did. So
Damn.
just think of like how much insight you can get with this. I mean, it's kind of freaky
Oh
that
yeah.
it's
That's
kind of I got like a couple of moral questions about this. Like,
yeah. It's
Jesus,
like
like,
it knows exactly what's going on the page.
because think about like all the sites that we go to, like, and how much they're really tracking us. You know what I mean?
Yo,
This really shows that.
yo, and you know they're doing it. So what else on there? What else is on there?
Yeah,
Scott?
let's check it out. I was actually going to go through this tomorrow on the stream, but might as well since we're both here. It's got the dead clicks. User clicked on tapped or page with no effect. So
Okay.
I guess
No
that would tell
action.
you like they thought something was supposed to happen, but it didn't.
Mhm.
Like that'll give you insight into that, and that'll show you exactly what they clicked on. Excessive scrolling. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. User scrolled through a page more than expected. Oh, maybe they like went all the way to the bottom of the page when they weren't supposed to.
Yeah. Makes you
Um,
think about Microsoft Teams, how corporations are tracking you know, employees' work and what they're pressing on.
oh my god, man! Imagine being an employee and trying to like, you got to take a piss. They know about it.
Yeah, facts.
Oh man. All right, but yeah, like I think use, I don't know. Like I probably would use this in some of the apps just to see like where I can fix things.
Yeah.
But,
Especially
like
as it scales, yeah.
exactly, where like all the problems are and like what people expect to happen. Like there's just no way to get this kind of information like
Yeah.
standing over someone's shoulder, like you'll never get this.
So what do you have to do? You just drop it into your app on the workflow, or how
Not
do you?
even. It's you literally just install the Microsoft Clarity app, and then you go to microsoftclarity.com or whatever, clarity.microsoft.com, and you set up a project.
Okay.
I don't know what I just clicked on. But yeah, all you got to do is set up the project ID in the name here, and then that's it. That's
Okay.
literally all you have to do. It's super simple.
Gotcha.
Here, I'll drop this in the chat too in case anybody wants to check that out. I was pretty impressed at how much it does. And it's a
Yeah.
free plugin too. Like I was tracking all of this stuff manually through like, like tracking what people click on actually through a workflow. Like putting in, okay, if a user clicks here, make an event out of that so I can see what people are clicking on. That was one way. That's actually kind of a cool way to do it too, because you can see like, okay, if this is a feature that I think people may want, but I'm not sure. I don't know whether to build it or not. Then you can
Yeah.
click and just put like a pop-up that says, hey, I see you're interested in video conferencing or whatever. Do you want us to build this feature? And then just keep upvoting that. And then like the number of times your users upvote that, that's like, all right, I got to focus on this feature now because everyone seems to want it.
So is there any other all right, so that gives you kind of data from, what's going on the front end from a user side. Is there do you have a recommendation for just overall analytics that will pull just kind of and summarize kind of all the data that's going on with your app, whether it's database, front end, interactions? Um,
Not a single recommendation,
mhm.
but a combination of a few. So one of them, Google Analytics is good because that gives you more like demographic data of who's using your
Okay,
app, like where they came in from, who's like that's more like kind of websitey to see like how people got to your app. You can also
gotcha.
create clickable events in Google Analytics, but it's a lot of work.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like I don't know what I would call that, like metadata, like not metadata, just like more like demographic data, traffic data. Maybe that's the best way to say it. It's
Gotcha.
like
Traffic. Okay.
yeah, it's like
Mhm.
information about the traffic that's coming to your app, so you know who your users are. This seems to be the Microsoft Clarity seems to be the best thing for tracking how people are behaving inside your app. That's
Gotcha.
where I think this adds on to Clarity. And for back end stuff like workflows, the only place that I know to look at that is the server logs in Bubble.
Yeah.
And depending on what plan you have, like that's gonna give you like I think on the personal plan you got like 7 days worth of data in the
Mhm.
logs. So that's if you're on a, let's see, what is that actually? I forget how far they let you go back. Bubble pricing. But those are the three like main analytics
Yeah.
things that I use to see what's going on. This one's new, so the clarity stuff is I'm just happy that I can actually see that stuff now like that. I never knew I never knew that was even possible. All right.
So, okay. So pricing wise.
The personal plan only lets you go back 1 day. That sucks.
Mhm.
And then the professional plan lets you go back 14 days, so 2 weeks. So I feel like you'd at least, if you were trying to keep track of workflows and stuff, you'd at least need to be on the professional plan.
Yep. Yep. So I'm on the professional, I guess. So the only difference between professional and what's the one up there, higher than that,
The
is
production.
production. Okay, so when you maybe are, I don't know, going live and ramping up, what's different? Just amount of storage space and
Oh, there's a
are you
few differences.
data? Okay, data backup 365. That's helpful, obviously.
Yeah, schedule. This is all the same. You can run recurring workflows daily. Whiteley. Let's
Wait,
see.
scroll up. What's the? I didn't realize there was such a. I've been paying monthly. Oh, okay. I thought you could just pay annually 475 and get everything under production if you pay annually. Or I'm assuming they really mean 475 per month.
I Yes. Yeah. That's
Okay.
475 per
I was
month.
gonna
Yeah.
say, I'm like, damn, I'm cheating myself.
Yeah, that's a little
I'm
misleading,
paying a
right?
month. Yeah.
Yeah, this is if you pay the whole thing. If you pay the whole thing up front, which is,
Yep.
we're talking,
475 times 12. Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
I'm not paying that up front. Editor run mode, 10 units. So like more these mysterious units, supposedly your app will perform better. This is probably, I think to me, this is the biggest.
Yeah, the 365. Yeah.
Yeah, the ability to go back in logs and then like I don't really use that much file storage for my app, so that wouldn't be that attractive to me. Probably the logs to me is the biggest thing because I like to be able to go back to a certain point in time and see like, oh, how did this happen? That
Hmm.
would be helpful because I work very data heavy apps, so this shit is interesting to me. But they're a little stingy with the wait. This is the data backup and restore. Yeah, yeah, data backup and restore. So you could restore the database to up to a year, a
Yeah.
year back. That's pretty. This is attractive to me.
Yeah. What I've been doing, although those kind of get flagged for not having the paid version, is I've been just like making manual copies of the app and giving it date stamps or whatever. So I've been doing that for like the last year and a half.
Oh, you're
Uh,
duplicating?
yeah,
You're duplicating
duplicate.
the
Yep,
app? Oh
yep,
man, I
making
never
copies
even
of it. So
I never thought of
yep,
that.
yep. Now it'll give you an error to say, okay, you've reached your database limitation or whatever, but essentially you get that exact copy, of that right there.
All right, so you're doing that to record like the instance of the database, the data at that point in time.
The data, the workflow, everything, So,
Gotcha.
so basically, so that way I have a longer kind of parameter than just the 30 days or whatever,
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty smart. You're just date stamping all of the duplicate. You probably
yep,
got like
yep.
100 apps though in your Bubble account, right?
Yep. So, have you ever used the JSON backup and then re-imported the JSON? Does it bring up the exact app? Because I feel like I don't know if I trust that per se.
I've never tried it. I've never tried
Right.
it. We could try it one day.
Yeah,
We could try it. We could try it
definitely
right
see
now. Fuck it. Let's see.
JSON export and just recreate.
Can I do that with this app? Let me try to find an app where I don't have any real data. Actually, we do it with the chat messaging one. It's not real. I gotta share my screen. All right, so this is the closest that Bubble lets you to frame this. This is the closest thing that Bubble lets you do by like exporting code, right? Like whereas Flutterflow lets you export the code in like actual like JavaScript from what they say. Bubble lets you export the Bubble app as like a JSON file, right? That's your understanding?
Yep, exactly.
All right, so let's see how this. I've never done this.
Speaking of Flutter, so I was my decision basically came down between before I came down to Flutter, Bubble, and I think there was another one called started with the S, but
Softer? Is it softer?
softer may have been, and then it came down to Flutter and Bubble. But I ended up choosing Bubble because there was more community. It had been more established for a while. Although I mean, Google was like, Flutter may eventually take over. Who knows? Down the line, or become the Azure to what AWS is. So maybe Bubble becomes the AWS, leading the market share, and then maybe Flutter comes behind it. So
Flutterflow, I've tried using Flutterflow. It's really efficient. The user face, it's actually very similar to Bubble. So you would be able to cross over like your skill set in Bubble
Mhm.
into Flutterflow pretty quickly. I think
Okay.
the use case for it is like if you're just doing a straight, like if you're definitely sure that you're going mobile,
Mhm.
that would be like one reason to do it. But I'm not sure how complex the workflows get in Flutterflow.
Gotcha.
I haven't gone that deep in it, but I know that like it would take me probably like 5-6 hours hands on to get pretty comfortable in Flutterflow.
Because it's more, isn't it? Where you may click an element and it outputs the JavaScript or something like. It's been a while since I've caught up on Flutter, but
Well, there's two different things. Flutter is like what you were just describing, but Flutterflow is like a no-code tool. It's very similar to Bubble.
oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's different than the Google's Flutter
it's related. It's related.
related.
They
Okay,
still use like Firebase as the back end.
gotcha.
It's very related. I'm not exactly sure how that works exactly, like the
Mhm.
difference between Flutter and Flutterflow, or whether like I don't think Flutterflow is Google owned. I think it's its own company. Let's look that up. I looked it up. I was playing with it the other day. Flutterflow. It's probably built on Flutter in the same way like you're saying like Google, like Bubble is built on AWS, but it's not owned by Google. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Yeah, this software developed local platform. They are in Mountain View. Did I lose your sound? I can't hear you anymore. About Yeah, Flutterflow is a low-code builder for native and web apps, bringing design development into one tool, drag and drop to build pixel-perfect UIs. Connect your app live via Firebase or APIs. Yeah, so the Firebase is like their built-in backend. Easily add advanced features like push notifications, payments, animation. See, this is the cool shit. This is actually what I wanted to show you. Is like all this stuff is native, right? So you don't have to worry about, you know, wrapping it in BDK or anything like that. All this stuff is it makes it very easy to push it into the app stores without all the wrapping and setting up workflows and all that. Widgets, all right, custom code. Yeah. But yeah, this is Flutterflow, and you can see like I'm kind of I know you can't speak now, but you'll come back. But you can see like even this interface is pretty close to like it's got text elements, it's got containers. Like there's a lot of crossover in the oh shit, I lost him. I lost you, Dwight. There's a lot of crossover. Just kind of speaking to about Flutterflow a little bit. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Hey, you're back.
Yep. Back.
All right. I was just saying that there's a lot of crossover with Bubble. So if you are comfortable with Bubble, obviously already, but you can see like it's got containers, it's got text, it's got all of the padding and design. I would say that the strongest part, or the part that really stood out to me, was the design tab here. And it was pretty easy to create. It wasn't as obvious on how to build workflows like the Bubble expression builder to me, but it was fairly simple to get a UI going. So that's been my experience. But yeah, this doesn't seem like it's owned by Google. It seems like it's a no code platform built on Flutter, and they are they're kind of their own thing. I think if they ever did get acquired, it probably would be like by Google, though. It makes the most sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's smart, and it literally looks like they took a page out of Bubble's book,
right?
They said, okay, well, we'll go with Google's backing, and interesting.
I wonder if Google did purchase them, it'd be interesting because like Google bought AppSheet. Are you familiar with AppSheet?
I've never used it, but I am familiar with it. Yep.
I was on AppSheet for a while. I really liked AppSheet because of the way that they built expressions there. It worked very much like an Excel spreadsheet, and I was working with an app that was very, like it was a lot of math calculations, so it made sense for that use case. But just the support from AppSheet was just terrible, and they would say they were going to release features and then they didn't. So like it was pretty frustrating to work with. But Google bought them, and we thought like, oh wow, Google bought them. Now they're going to be like, they're going to pay a little more attention to it, and like nothing happened. So I don't know what's going on with them lately.
So what I've heard is, depending on the scenario, like did you watch the Uber? I forgot what his series was called on like Stars or Showtime, where it's kind of showing how Uber became. What's the series called?
I haven't seen it.
Uber show, or whatever it's called, but it's called Super Pumped on Showtime. So, anyways, in Super Pumped, when he was talking with one of his main VCs, whatever the guy's name is, so I guess there's a thing when you are in the process of going or looking for acquisition or looking for an investor. If you go to Google, one, all your shit's damn has got to be absolutely tip top ready, from your customer acquisition to your app to performance to all of that. But one thing is, they could buy you out or acquire you, whatever, or super invest in you. But there's several instances where you just like a record label, you could end up getting your platform can end up getting shelved, and that's just what it's gonna be. It kind of
Yeah.
you might just be get you out the way,
Yeah,
and they might have
exactly.
plan and maybe 7 years down the line they may have plans to say, okay, well, we'll use part of the technology that we bought from you by this acquisition, and we'll put that into something else. So I mean, I don't know. Google is a beast, man.
They got the money
Yeah.
and the power to just buy you up and shelve
Yep.
you. So you don't you
Exactly.
don't you don't fuck up their, whatever product release they have on the horizon, right?
Exactly. So yeah. So that's the thing. Gotta be a little cautioned about, but yeah, I would love to kind of see if Flutter what the community is like. You know,
Yeah,
Doc.
yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's even the kind of the interface looks like he took a page right out of Bubble. Docs looks the same. I mean, kind of all of this stuff.
Definitely a lot of that was the easy, I would say, going into
Mhm.
another no code builder. I'm pretty
Flutter.
hesitant. Yeah, like I'm very hesitant on using new tools because Bubble just does so much.
Yeah.
I would think that if I was going completely mobile native, this would be a tool that I would probably choose in that situation. And because again, just because of like my learning curve for this was so easy because of how similar it was to Bubble.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seems like even their marketing is kind of positioned to all the things that people complain about Bubble about, like the push
Hmm.
notifications, mobile native functionality, being able to export the code.
Yep.
Like it,
Not
it
using a wrapper. Yep.
Exactly. So they're really putting themselves in that niche, which I think is good. Like I think the more tools we have for a more specific purpose, the better. Like I don't see this as competition with Bubble. Maybe Bubble sees it that way. I'm
Mhm.
not sure. But in my mind, it's just like this makes sense for a mobile native app. It's like that I would use this, and in the same way that if it was a desktop application that I was building that was only going to exist on the web, that makes sense for Bubble. Like that's the right tool for that job.
Yep. If Flutter Flow really wanted to dominate, if they now this may cause some strife, but if they really wanted to dominate, they would have their API or their parsing or whatever to where you can export. If they really wanted to control market share, obviously fill in all the blanks that Bubble doesn't have, but be able to just import JSON data, from your Bubble app or whatever, and
Oh.
automatically translate it into their better version. And like,
I forgot that we were doing that. Let's continue that export. I forgot we were doing that. I forgot hang on. I shared the wrong screen. Hang on. Yeah, I know, right? Like just be hey, come off of Bubble real
yep,
easy.
right.
Oh man.
Yeah, that'd be pretty gangster. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Bubble be pissed. All right. Yeah, so I have to be on a paid plan to do this. I guess this is not a paid plan. Let's use this one. So it export. Have you ever done this?
So I do export because it's just so I make copies of the entire application, different versions, and I export like once a month, just out of caution and concern if anything happens. But I've never imported, so I don't know what the value is and how that
All
translates
right.
back into the app.
So it's exported. I can open it up. I don't know what kind of file this opens up as though. Is it a text file? Show in folder. Let's see.
I mean, it might open in Visual Studio or something.
Yeah, maybe. Download. It's a bubble file. That's the thing? It's a bubble
Oh,
file.
let me take a look at mine. Yeah, I'm sure they got some crazy. You know, and I might have heard that too. Is that although it is JSON, they might have it locked down to where you have to open it up in Bubble.
Yeah, so I don't even know what good that does to be able to export it if I can't open it up in any other.
Yeah, yep, it's a Bubble file for sure.
How do I open a dot bubble file? How do I open a dot? Theoretically, you would be able to change, like if it exports it in JSON, couldn't you then convert that to like JavaScript or something? You know, they have those types of converters. Working with files, attach an image. No, this is nothing. This is working with files. How do I open a dot bubble?
I don't think anyone has explored it. You know, opening it up.
Yeah, seriously. How to upload and download files in your bubble.
And you know that is key too. You know, because Bubble obviously says, "Oh well, you know, you have all of your IP and everything, and you could just don't worry, you can export your JSON, so you have everything. But if I have to only open it up via in the Bubble application, I mean, what good is?"
We actually brought this up in a meeting that we had with them a couple days ago, last week rather, where we said that is a big concern, I think, especially for developers, like people who do code, which I know is not their target audience, obviously. But I think my argument is that if a developer, somebody who knows how to code chooses Bubble over traditional coding, that's a ringing endorsement for the platform, right?
Exactly.
Like there's a real reason that they're doing that. But a huge blocker specifically for a coder is that they're not going to be able to access what's under the hood, and they're not going to be able to export it if they need to.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart if they open that up.
Well, and this is the thing too. It's just like with everything goes. You create a solution to a problem, but then your solution also has a problem, and then eventually someone says, "Well, fuck it, I just create the ultimate solution to it all," and then you end up getting phased out or pushed to the side. So, you know, if it's supposed to be a whole revolutionary thing of no code, and you know we're giving you the freedom, etc., then give us the freedom. Make it, you know, exportable and whatever means. If we want to take it here, or maybe we want to swivel from code to leverage, Bubble to back and forth, whatever it may be. Give that freedom. Then their platform becomes bigger, like you said, more from their customer acquisition standpoint. More folks get on board. But if you limit it, then people start thinking, okay, well, should I use that? Should I go to Flutter? Should I just build it myself? With code. Should I come out, try the next best thing? Or should I just use it for something more simple? Yeah.
At that point, like what you just said is perfect. Like if you were like free to kind of move in and out of the platform at will, obviously there would have to be some pricing changes around that business model. But
I think people would pay.
I know. That's what I think. I think people will be willing to pay for that. And I think at that point, it just becomes part of the stack. It's not, do I choose Bubble over JavaScript? No, it's just, I'm going to use Bubble at this point in my development process. I'm going to use some JavaScript at this point, and I know that I'm free to move in and out fluidly, right? And I'm not going to be locked in anywhere.
And see, that's when they'll actually win. I know it's hard, for any business to kind of think about, oh well, maybe you might lose some market share, but you take a step back, but you may go. I mean, you go way further.
Yeah, that's like taking a step back to go far, right?
Like they'll go way further. If they become a little bit more open minded.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. I think it's what do you call it? It's definitely something to, like, specifically coders ask for. I think even non-technical people too, their first question is, oh, well, is it going to scale? Which at that point, no, you shouldn't really worried about scale, because you're just trying to figure out whether or not you're solving a problem. But it almost just unlocks this like psychological thing in people's heads, like, oh, if I ever need to go, at least I have that option. if I ever need to move off, at least I have that option.
And for me, that's definitely like in my mind. It's just like, I mean, anybody, where even if it's not technology, anybody opening up a business, no one's opened up a business to say, well, I just want to open it up just to only do a little bit of business. No, if someone opens up a business, they damn sure want that business to be as successful as possible. So with that in everybody's mind, the true freedom to become as successful as possible is, hey, always focusing on the inner goal, focusing on the skill. That true, you gotta figure out whatever. Are you solving a problem? Do your R&D, whatever. But beyond that, all right, I should be free conscious, knowing, or if someone wants to acquire me, shit, can I do that? Because the other thing I start thinking about as well. All right, so in my situation, I say, okay, I'm going to build all this functionality in this. I'm gonna beef it up. I'm gonna put it on the market, etc. And as it's on the market, um, in the back of my mind, I'm going to start just building from scratch a React Native version, and which would take more time, but at least the main product is already there. And then so if it ever comes a need that I need to switch over, then that's what I have to do. But realistically, I shouldn't have to do that. If people, you got webs. All right, so I think a lot of people on Bubble use, and tell me, is that fair to say that majority or the larger portion of Bubble users are for web-based websites
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
applications, right?
Web-based.
Right, exactly. And so, it's not, what's the word? What I'm trying to get at here. Um kind of lost my point, but the more
I
so
think what
like
you were going to say is like there's other situations where like if you're going to try to build installable software, right?
right,
Like
right, software and applications versus just, hey, I just got a web-based solution for whatever,
right.
or I'm building a website and I just want fluid functionality. I mean, there's enough websites, programs that you can build certain things, whatever. But from a software app and application aspect, to me, that's where Bubble really wants their money. They don't want to become another Wix or another web.com or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It should be focused on, yeah, it can do that, but the real money is in the software and the applications. And so people really building software and applications shouldn't have be kind of a little bit on edge, like, damn, how far can I take this, before I run into a blocker where I just got to say, all right, crap, I got to start over behind closed doors and build it in something else.
Here's the thing, though, and I see your point. My only counter to that is that if you get to a point where it's probably not going to be like a technical blocker, maybe it is going to be. Maybe it is going to be a technical blocker. I think that if you even get to that point where you're like, all right, it's not like I have to rebuild everything from scratch. You know what you built already.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much learning that you already got from going this path in the first place. If you know exactly what to hand a React developer and say, hey, build this, they could do that shit in like a few days. It's not going to take that long to build that. That's an exaggeration. That's a stupid exaggeration. But like what I mean is that like if they know exactly what they need at that time, and it's not going to change because you got more information from users or you got, like something in the market changed, like that's still a win. That's still a win in my book because you learned so much
true.
about what
right, because they have the exact prototype, of it. Yep, you would just think, I like to think that and maybe not to say that it's not gonna be, but you would like to have that assurance that, yo, if I start building this application, this platform, because I even sent like Bubble a bunch of questions before I even started like learning Bubble's platform. Just kind of picking the brain and kind of saying, hey, what if you guys shut down 10 years from now? And really they're only word was, well, you own your IP and you can export JSON. That was really the only thing they told me. So there was no real, assurance there, and like you said, it may just unlock a different creative side of you if you just had that assurance that, look, I can take this anywhere. I can start in this program and I do not have to go anywhere else. Even if I use other integrations or plugins or APIs, this will always be my foundation. Like, can you start Uber? If take all the all of the legwork that Uber has done. Imagine Uber never existed. Can you start an Uber on this and fully scale Uber to what it is? IPO everything. I mean, Uber's on everyone's phone now.
Yeah.
Can Bubble really become that, or if someone has an idea like that, are they comfortable with that?
That's the question on everyone's mind, and I think that if they did open that, it would not. I think it would have less of an effect of people moving off of it because I think people are pleasantly
True.
surprised with how far they'll get with Bubble. I think it'll have the effect of more people trying it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the positive part. I think it's like no more people are willing to say like I am willing to go down this route because I know that I can move off in the
Exactly.
future if I have to. That would
Get rid of
be
that mental barrier. Yeah.
yeah, it's a mental barrier.
Yep.
That I agree. And then once you're there, it's like, all right, wow, I can push this a lot further than I thought. You know?
Yep. And Bubble also needs that, you know, that hit, I used to be in the music industry. Bubble also needs that hit single.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of independent things going on, but they need that hit single, and not even just for Bubble, but for the low code movement in general. It just needs that one massive hit, one massive application or software that's widely adapted, that's widely used, and almost to where you almost tell them after it's in the market that, oh yeah, by the way, I did this all with no code.
Yeah.
To where something like that would blow everybody's mind. That would flood that would flood the market.
It would.
Like with music, distribution was a big issue, right? You always had to go through a record label or whatever. Then you got DistroKid came out. You have TuneCore, that send your music to iTunes, to Spotify, to whatever. So those solutions have been out for like the last 10, 15 years or whatever. But before that, you had to go through a label. You had to go sell put CDs in the store or retail, whatever, or have some connection. Now it's so many music artists. Think about it. I mean, anybody you hear anybody, and you can just go to Spotify and look them up. You just go to Apple Music and look them up, and it's because they people knew that, oh, all right, now I really have a real bridge to scale to where I maybe don't need a record label. So it could be the same thing for
That's a cool
local.
parallel. That's a cool
Yep.
parallel. I actually do think of this sometimes as almost like a band breaking, right? Like a startup is almost like you're kind of like bubbling. You've got a few like very niche core audience that you serve, and then you break over into that mainstream. So I think there's a lot like you make an interesting point. There's a lot of parallels between like how a group or an artist would break,
Yep.
and like your startup taking off at the same
Once
time.
once artists knew that they did not have to be signed to a record label to have their music on Xbox, to have their music on Spotify, on Apple, on whatever it may be, on Shazam. When people realize it, and then they realize it only takes them $100 a year or whatever to put it on that stuff without having a record label. That's how now you got a music artist on every corner, every genre.
And I think that's what people are realizing now, in the same way that you don't need a record label, you don't need a VC to build a business, a
Exactly.
viable business. I think that's what these tools are showing
Yep.
us. But I'm curious as to your opinion. Why do you think we haven't had that hit single yet? Why hasn't that happened?
So I think when I look a lot at, let's say, the forums, even outside of Bubble or whatever, um, a lot of folks are thinking too small. They're thinking about they're thinking about making just different versions of something that's already been created. Or
Okay.
they're thinking about making, I don't know, something minuscule, maybe something for their own business or whatever the case is. No one is really trying to think about, okay, what the hell can we use, or do people want, or a subset of people want, that has not been created from an application side. And even And then also you got to think you got I mean, a world. It's probably more coders than it is no coders. So you got to get past the coders have already thought about a gang of tools and software and things of that nature. So it's hella competition, So from the benefit of the no code is you don't need the VCs. You can get there much quicker. You don't have to have multiple developers, whatever it is. And so it just comes down to the idea. Uh, I'd like to think that I have some ideas, but so it just comes down to that and to the execution. That's really what it is.
That's where my thought is mostly on that. I think it lies a lot in the execution.
Yep.
Coding, no coding, building the actual platform is one small component of whether or not this thing is going to blow up and change the world. Whatever the idea is.
Yep.
It's so difficult to do. There's so much marketing. There's so much learning about your users. Yes, you could build faster, but that still doesn't take away all the other things that need to fall into place. So I'm with you, man. I want that hit single to happen and, like be there for it. So that's like, wow, there is legitimacy. And the shit that I've been saying for like the last 3 years, there's some credence to that. And I haven't just been spinning my wheels, but that's that boom.
Do you think, okay, so two approaches. One, do you think, let's say, let's take a Uber or Waze or WhatsApp or Tinder, do you build it, get it on the market, allow it to flourish, and then say, surprise, everyone, I did all of this on low code, no code, bubble, whatever the case is, boom, there's a home run? Or do you promote it, hey, this is low code the whole time while you're releasing, while it's out there, etc.? And does that put a bias, from a end user, from a marketing, from a PR perspective, on the tool?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think from the way that I look at it is that I don't think you should ever be ashamed or hide your stack. Like, who gives a shit if it's working and people are using it? Like why does it matter how it's built, right? Like that to me, that's my first initial reaction. Do I think that it could create a perception in investors' minds or possibly people who, like maybe some important decision maker down the line, possibly, but I don't want to build for those people. Like I want to build for the people whose problem that I'm solving. And if as long as I'm seeing the traction there, Jordan, what's up? As long as I'm seeing the traction there, to me, that's good enough. And I wouldn't want to hide the fact, like, look, I can do this, and I'm one person, or two or three people, and I'm building an app that's going to be out there, and like, that's awesome for me. I'm proud of that. I don't care if people know like how I did it.
Imagine the creativity that folks who maybe didn't have that coding experience, whatever it is, when you remove all those barriers, I mean, hell, maybe it gets so granular to where we're not just talking about web apps and mobile apps. Maybe it carries over into robotics, or it carries over into metaverse, or it carries over into holograms. Who knows?
Who knows how far it's going to take it? I was actually having a chat with my brother about this last week on the stream. He's a software engineer, and he, like codes for a living. And he was saying that like that's kind of the way that he looks at it too. It's like, it's really the right tool for the right job. There shouldn't be any elitism or gatekeeping for either side. I think no coders do a good job of putting themselves in a corner too. It's like, you're calling yourself a no coder. That kind of is like contrarian by just the name of it. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't code. It's like, well, do you have to define what you're doing by like saying that you're not something? That's weird, So I think there's a lot of like the name itself kind of builds a little bit of like division between the tech community and being accepted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And that's why I was bringing it up, because I've been an engineer for, almost 10 years, and you definitely, hear some, not, you hear people in the background like, you know, no code. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But I mean, it, just like with anything else, from crypto to I mean everything else. It wasn't a belief until it was like, dude, all right, well now it's taking our jobs. Now it's taking our
Yeah.
currency. Now it's
Yeah.
taking this. And it changes, especially when like we talking about earlier. All it takes is that first hit single.
Oh
That
man,
first
I want that
no
hit
code
single.
hit single comes out. That's what's going to be the game changer right there.
Here's the funny thing. I don't even care who it is. I don't care who it
Yep.
is. I just want someone to do it so that we can all just kind of like rise with that tide.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who does it. It doesn't
That's
matter to me.
so. How many apps are so? Do you have that one suite app that you're working on, or you have a multitude of applications, or?
I've been working with clients for a little over 2 years since
Mhm.
2020. So and actually going on 3 years now. I've been working with clients, building kind of small scale MVPs and prototypes and stuff. And I think that the one that I'm working on now that I'm I've kind of went all in on this one app.
Mhm.
It started as a client arrangement. It's kind of evolving into like almost I don't know if I'd call it a partnership, but just like like we're on each other all day.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is kind of the one where I'm putting all of my bets on. I really want to focus on this. I think it's an interesting, idea. It's a real estate related app. And I can kind of get behind the way that like the data and the usability of it. And specifically the dude that I'm working on it with, he's a very open-minded dude. He seems like he wants to, like he's not going to jump ship if this if it doesn't like the first version of it doesn't make sense. Like he
Yeah.
wants this to work. So
Yep.
I've been, kind of evaluating that as I choose who to work with.
So I know from a business perspective, right? So before I decided on Bubble, one of the things, and I almost hired a consultant, to build, my app initially, and then because I was teetering back and forth between is it going to be Bubble or Flutter, and then or was I just going to build a React Native,
Mm-hmm.
and then I ended up settling on Bubble, and I said, okay, well if I go Bubble, well I'll just get someone to build it for me and give them 4 or 5 months to build it, and then take over. And then I was kind of just doing some demo classes of Bubble or whatever. And I started, just even thinking like, yo, sure, someone can hand this app off to me, 6 months down the line, and maybe I've never touched it at all, from there. I mean, it's it's hard to pick up, on someone else's work and just say, just hand it off. All right, now I got it. Well, shit,
Yeah.
what the hell? What do I do with this?
Yeah. It's a
How do I know this database thing changes that, and that it's like so. Yeah, so I decided I definitely had to get my hands dirty myself and figure out every aspect, uh, of it. So
it's tough working with like you really have to get a good system in place if you're going to work with somebody to build the app for you.
do you have to
You know,
support it afterwards as well?
that's the thing. It's like the well, like for like bugs and stuff like that. You mean like if
Yeah,
bugs come up?
right. Yeah, yeah, bugs or whatever it may be. Yeah, whatever.
I think that I would like the all of the relationships that I've had, I've kind of passed along to other developers, so they
Okay,
just deal with
that's
anything
helpful.
that comes up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've never left anyone hanging that I can think of. Like it wasn't just like, oh, this is over. They either stopped responding or I found someone else to take my place.
Mm.
So, and I honestly encourage the clients that I work with too to just like take some kind of technical interest in what I'm building. Like I think you would have been disappointed if you went that route of like, yeah, I'm just gonna like give this person to work on this for 6 months, and then I'm gonna take over. Because you would have missed so much in that time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you would have not had the knowledge that they had. They would have made a whole bunch of decisions that you're like, well, this is not what I had intended. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that just wouldn't have worked. So this is another reason that I'm working with the dude that I am now, that I kind of chose to go all in on that particular app, is that he knows Bubble. He knows how to work in Bubble. So it's not like he's like, hey, John, can you change this text here? You know what I mean? Like, no, he just does it. And then if there's something big, like kind of an architecture change to the way that we're, building the app, that's something that we talk about and kind of like, all right, what's the best approach here? So being hands off in this does not work at all, whether you're technical or not technical.
And it kind of happened by chance for me, because I even selected, and this is before I got started, I even selected a Bubble developer to build something, but they couldn't start until 4 months later or something like that, because they had another project. And I was like, well, I can't wait to 4 months. Can we do anything now? Can I even said, can I put a deposit down now? Whatever. And then, just a time frame. It was like, oh, well, I don't want to take it now. And then that's what made me say, you know what? I'm going to build it myself.
Tough, man.
I would have been beating myself up if I didn't build it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it happened that way.
When did you start?
I started in 20. So I started on Bubble in 2021, going into 2021. So I'd say fall of 2020 is when I started like looking at how other people were making the apps and taking. There's one guy named, I could be pronouncing his name wrong, but I know he's in the UK. Latchin.
I don't know.
He's here. I even show you. He's got classes where he teaches. Latchin Kirkwood. He's got courses here. I'll drop it in the chat. Where's the chat at? Right here. And so he doesn't consult or anything, but I started basically like kind of reverse. So I would take his classes and then I would kind of reverse engineer basically some things. That might not have been the main page, but if you click on the flag, it should take you to the main page, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'll share. Let me share my screen as I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I have heard of this dude. Latchin. Is he? I don't know if he's in the UK though. Latchin.
Yep. So and so this particular lesson right here was teaching like Tinder. So I was, kind of learning the swipes and how to create accounts, etc. And really, this foundation is what helped me even learn to build, as far as I am now. Then if you click on this flag, he'll show you, those would be like lessons of all the other apps. So he'll have videos, tutorials, and kind of basically everything on there.
Wow.
And so I basically just went through the courses for a couple months, just learned different aspects of each one. And then I said, all right, I think, and basically what I was looking for was, so my method was find the functionality. It didn't matter what kind of app it was. It didn't matter if it was an app building dresses or Airbnb, whatever. I would look for functionality in different apps and see if I could put it all, if it fulfilled what I needed in mind. And that's basically what I did. So I would kind of steal from each one. So, okay, I got this map feature here. I got this chat feature from this one. I got that one from there, and then just merge them into one.
I can't believe how many he has. He's done like.
Yeah, and it's like full classes. It's like where you might have like 10 videos, in the class, and so literally step by step from you first creating your first database thing, it'll take you from beginning to the end. So you will have that end product, at the end of it.
I gotta save this. Because this is a good reference for people. People always ask me like, how do I get started? This is an alternative to like an Udemy course.
Yeah, exactly. And he takes you from beginning to the end, and then you can build on, like that Slack one. You can build on to it, however you see fit, or
right.
incorporate that in something else. So
that's a good resource, man. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, listen, I'm gonna jump off.
Sure. It's been a good talk.
Yeah, man,
and I'll have to reach out to Zero Code. I forgot all about the issue, but I'll try to figure something out.
Yeah, man, we'll catch up. We'll catch up soon. I feel like there's more to say here. We'll bring it back to the stream another day.
All right, for sure, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right.
Later.